Electrical equipment. Okay, I will categorize like this. So now we know some examples. We have to relate this to the definition that I told you. For the purpose of production of goods and rendering services. Machinery I will use for the purpose of production of goods. And the same sometimes you have like this electrical equipment like computer. If you are an accountant, your service is to give accounting services to your customers. You need an electrical equipment, a computer, laptop, or a printer, or something that helps you doing the services for you. And then also distribution of the goods and services you produce. That is vehicles. And for administrative purposes, you have building. And you occupy that building in a land. So all these categories comes under that definition. Fine. Now, how I define, how I recognize this property, plant and equipment in my books. How can I claim that this is part of my asset or my property, plant and equipment? Or whatever the payments or expenses that I incurred, that how I bring it inside the heading of property, plant and equipment. All those expenses incurred for the purpose of bringing that assets to its intended location and workable condition. Whatever you incur, you have to club all these together into one pot. Put in that pot, accumulate, generate and create and find out what is the total. That will be known as your total amount that you incur. So we talk about the cost. We talk about the cost of the property, plant and equipment. And from a different viewpoint, you also, I think you all know this. Oh, yes, capital expenditure and operating expenditure. Now, how to classify any expenditure as capital expenditure?
Acquired or upgrade. Acquired or upgrade.
Acquired or upgrade what?
Maybe the machine or the building.
Yeah. Any expenditure you incur which will bring a new asset or enhance the economic return possibility significantly. Such expenditures are known as capital expenditure. All your capital expenditure you should capitalize as part of assets. And there is a bit of a gray area. For example, you do color wash. If you do a color wash to a building, what do you think? Is it a capital expenditure or operating expenditure?
College upgrade or maybe.
See, now Ramadan is coming now. What many people is doing is they paint in their house.
Improving, renovate.
I don't name renovate. I think expenditure. So another way of classifying this actually, the expenditures can be classified into three headings. One is, as we talked about, capital expenditure. Another one is revenue expenditure. There is a third category, deferred revenue expenditure. So these three categories are there to classify all our, whatever the expenditure you have, you had to classify into the one of these three headings. Now we're talking about this color wash or painting. Painting is not going to enhance your economic return for a longer period of time. So therefore, painting has to be part of your revenue expenditure or your operating expenditure. So what is revenue expenditure? An expenditure is needed to generate your revenue on a day-to-day basis on an ongoing operating activity. Those are revenue expenditure. Salary, you pay to a staff. If you don't pay the salary, could you ensure the operation is smooth? No. Everyone will go on strike. So salary becomes operating revenue expenditure. Rent of the building. Another example for revenue expenditure. These expenditures are supporting the generation of your revenue. Whereas you purchase what you call software, or you purchase a hardware for your computer, AS400, or you purchase extra memory. This memory you needed to store your data, and this memory can be kept with you for the next 3 years, for example. How do you classify that? What expenditure that is?
He is giving the hint, so you have to think. He said that can be used for 3 years.
Any issue, Mohammed? If that is the case, you put it under capital. What about you change vehicle engine? Capital expenditure. Now, very interesting is aircraft. Aircraft. In aircraft, we have the engine. But what do you think where the engine is? Aircraft engine located where? Any idea?
Backside.
Backside.
In the plane, he's asking where.
Aircraft. You know aircraft, right? The flight, plane, whatever the name you call it.
Not the front.
Hmm?
The front is the pilot.
You see every day, but you don't know where the engine is. You fly so many times.
But when they land, then someone at the back, this one they go there and they pick something from the